Sagittarius. Welcome to your end of August 2019 general tarot reading. Let's see. So we're going to have a new moon in Virgo coming up on the 30th. Now I saw somebody else's, I didn't watch the actual video, but I saw the headline and it said supermoon. And I wasn't aware that it was a supermoon. I'd have to, I need to read up on that. But in any case, this is at 6 degrees of Virgo. Virgo for Sag is the 10th house of career. So new beginnings in that area. But that's not the only thing. I mean, there's going to be other planets there. There's going to be Venus and Mars. I'm thinking Mercury is probably in there too at that time. I would have to double check, but good stuff, good stuff. Wow, getting some of these cards that are a little bit snarky here. So the heart of the matter is the Five of Swords. And you can see with people in the background that this is a card that can involve multiple people and about communication, but there's kind of like this this kind of like behind the scenes types of thing. Basically, this is a card of slander. Sorry about that. Got my jacked up tripod here. The Five of Swords is a card of like people who may be backbiting and stuff like this. I think this is especially valid in the workplace for those of you who are in a workplace, I should say. And so watch out for people who you think that you trust, because you never know. I've said this before. I don't know if I said it to Sag, but I really am of the belief that we should keep our private lives private when we're at work. And sometimes the lines get blurred. And this is like especially true when somebody tries to befriend you. And I really dislike saying this because I don't like the idea of being suspicious of other people's motives. But unfortunately, sometimes the very people who try to befriend you are doing so for an ulterior motive, and especially in the workplace, because some people have just that very primitive attitude about work, about their jobs, and they're afraid of losing their job, or they're very competitive, they're very envious. So just, Sagittarians tend to see the best in other people, which is a great quality, but it can burn you sometimes if you are not careful, because you may assume that everybody's as above board as you are. The other possibility here, because I'm going to look at the past position, is that we have the Justice card. So if you have already brought into motion, or what's the phrase, set into motion some kind of a human resources matter or arbitration, whatever they call it, in the workplace, you may win the battle but lose the war. In other words, if you win the battle and you find out that, yes, I wasn't getting paid as much as somebody else, and they award you back pay, and you get to have a bump in your salary and blah, blah, blah. You go into work the next day and your boss is just like completely cold to you. Maybe they just are, very clipped in their exchanges with you, but you can tell that they're just really want nothing to do with you because you went over their head and you made them look bad in their eyes. And you expose them, or your coworkers. And what kind of workplace is that going to be? Are you going to feel comfortable going in? I've said this multiple times because of these cards. So if that is you holding the swords while everybody's, have dropped their swords, you have to realize that sometimes when you, get into these battles, you find out after the fact that it really isn't much of a victory, because it still feels awkward. It still is uncomfortable in that situation. And same thing if this is like a romantic situation. Justice card relates to Libra, by the way. So, and we have here as the higher message, a card that connects with Virgo, the Hermit card. So not sure if you're dealing with a Libra that is quite two-faced, but definitely with the Hermit card as the higher message, the spiritual message, you may be trying to do self-inquiry to find out exactly, what happened. Because that there may be like something that you allowed, and that ended up, because, the Five of Swords, this person could be telling lies about you even, and perhaps before that, you saw some red flags and you didn't quite, address that or acknowledge it within yourself. And then it just kept going, spiraling out of control. And so the Hermit card as spiritual advice may be saying that you need some alone time so that you can decide what your next move is going to be. Perhaps it's time to move on from a job or a relationship that is no longer serving you, no longer comfortable to be in, and one in which you don't feel that sense of trust. Because, like, if this is a coworker situation, and you may not know it for sure, but you may suspect it, you may feel like you're in a pit of snakes, when you go into work every day, because you may feel like somebody betrayed you, and that must be a really horrible feeling, especially for those of us like myself who are Sagittarians, because we pride ourselves on the truth. And when people are being deceitful, and this is what the Five of Swords, especially that two-faced quality, when people are being like that, that can really hit us hard, because we are so opposed to what that stands for. What crosses you is the Four of Cups. This can even be like a form of inertia, because this is a card of, I've been getting this card a lot lately, of being in the doldrums, of indifference, and things like that. And my feeling is that this can suggest a certain apathy, and maybe you feel like you've been I don't want to say beaten down so much, but just you've gone through so much so far that it's taken a lot out of you and you just don't have the strength to deal with it. You know, I mentioned this in a previous video for a Sag, and I was asking those of you out in YouTube land who are Sagittarians, Sun and Sagittarians, maybe Sagittarius rising, but especially Sun and Sagittarius, how have you been faring in 2019? Has this been your year? Has it been, you know, an average year, nothing major? Or has it felt craptastic? Has it felt like not so great and you feel like let down because you were looking forward to it because Jupiter is in Sagittarius? And, you know, I have felt that it's been a challenging year. And I did not feel that way in 2018 when a lot of people did. I thought they were a little bit whining, you know, but I totally get it. It's been not the greatest, but you know, I think Sagittarians, we always have this belief that at any moment everything can change and it can just, our lives can improve dramatically, and that's what I believe. I believe that we are on the precipice of something very good. And I even think that when Jupiter goes into Capricorn, I think that we will see this even more so. I just get this feeling, not only because Jupiter is going to go into the money house, the second house, but I also feel that there is this, you know, because Saturn is in that second house, and Saturn will be leaving I think in 2020 sometime, maybe in March, I'm not exactly sure, at least by mid-year, I think. And so I think that once Saturn leaves that house and Jupiter is just there, well, of course, Pluto will be there, but Pluto can bring wealth, that it's going to bring kind of like more financial freedom for some people, maybe, and hopefully I hope for all of us. But I think that may help to lift our spirits a bit. And because sometimes I think that, you know, Jupiter has that magnifying aspect, and you know, if you're not in a great mood to begin with, you know, having something magnified isn't going to make it better. So with that Four of Cups, if you have been kind of in a rut, in some kind of, but an emotional rut, and you just are like, I don't, you know, really care anymore type of deal, and it might not be that you don't want a better situation for yourself, but you might actually believe that this is as good as it gets right now. You need to get out of that, and sometimes to jumpstart that feeling of inertia, you have to do different practices than what you're doing. And I recommend things such as a cacao ceremony, which you can, you know, just Google in your local area if they have any at a spiritual center near you, which can really open your heart chakra. A gong bath, a sound bath. Sometimes it's, you know, they use singing bowls sometimes. Restorative yoga. These things can raise your vibration in a very kind of an immediate way, but something that doesn't take a lot of effort on your part and can be very enjoyable. And just having that little bit of a boost can be all it takes to kind of get you to do other things. You know, if you have kind of not been exercising, just walking, not anything that you have to do that just beats the hell out of you, but just something that is very invigorating, gets your blood moving. It's things like that. And meditation, of course, but sometimes it's hard to jumpstart yourself into that. You need that kind of inspiration, and some of these other things can be self-care practices that make it easier for you to do other things that can be good for you. So definitely don't allow an outer situation to kind of make you indifferent in life, so that you just you stay stuck. The advice, or what is coming in, is represented by the Five of Wands. I think it's advice, and I think it means, don't. Isn't this funny? Another 5. The 5 is the number of communication. It's also a number of change. So it can suggest that change is on its way, but I think that we have to initiate change a lot of times. We can't just wait for it, because then otherwise it could be like a lot more out of our control what kind of change comes our way. But in addition to change, the number 5 is about communication, so self-expression. And we have 2 5s here. But this 5, unlike the 5 of Swords, is fire, is wands. And that is confident, even aggressive sometimes. And it is about yourself. It is about, I would say, self-defense. So don't allow other people to slander you. If your boss has told you a quote that is false, don't try to be the bigger person and just let it roll off your back. Be very vocal and say, that is not what I did. That is not what I said. Obviously, you can't accuse anybody when you don't know, but you can state your truth. I would say that the 5 of Wands is stating your truth and not allowing other people to get away with trying to paint you in a false light. And it's also, this is a card of competition, and it can be friendly competition. Competition isn't always just toxic or vicious. It can simply mean that you think that you are worthy of having that position, or having, that accolade, those accolades. So if you are somebody who feels like other people are kind of trying to step all over you, walk all over you, don't let them. Fight for what's yours. The outcome is the High Priestess. I think everything is going to come out in the end. And I think that you'll be vindicated, because the High Priestess is in the upright position. This is the truth. Sometimes this can be you connecting to your higher self, but this is not a card of advice. This is an outcome card. We have the Hermit and we have the High Priestess. I feel like that something will be revealed that is hidden now. And maybe, let's see. I mean, you do have a lot of this energy happening at this time in the career sector. So if this is a relationship issue, if this is a work situation, I think that you're going to have the upper hand because it's favorable to you. Even astrologically, it's favorable to you. But it doesn't mean that it's not coming at a price. And it also doesn't mean that there still isn't something to be revealed. But I think that whatever it is that is revealed will not be a surprise to you. The only thing that will happen is that it will vindicate you if your boss is not on your side. Sometimes people, and it doesn't have to be just a boss, but sometimes I notice that there are some people who are very who really like favor some people over others. I don't know why that is. Perhaps they're just very I was going to say like prejudiced. There's another word that I'm looking for that I can't think of. But they're just, it might be that they want to believe the worst about certain people. Perhaps because they're envious of those people. I wouldn't be surprised, because a good boss is not going to allow flying monkeys to influence them. If they conspire with flying monkeys, then they are one of them. And they are probably on the negative side themselves, where they're very envious. Sagittarians, may be very popular with customers and clients and, higher management, upper management. And that can threaten the boss. If you have gotten along well with corporate, if you're like, in some type of an environment where you have dealt with the people that are above your boss and you have a good rapport with them, that might make your boss feel like inferior in their own mind, and they may have it in for you. That's just par for the course. Petty people, what petty people do. So Sagittarians oftentimes have to deal with petty people, I feel, because I think we tend to be pretty, good, kind-hearted, and above board. And other people know that they're not like that, and they are jealous of our light. And so they try to do everything they can to keep us down. And we have to, sometimes we need to just like get away from that environment, but sometimes you need to just fight for what's yours. Okay, that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that you got something from this. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.